pretty bad. So most people see the kayak, the fishing trips, the catches, but what they actually don't see is what it takes to even get there. And this is a series where it's just going to be real conversation, just real world scenarios, conversations, laid back atmosphere where you can actually get a glimpse of what it's like to be an adaptive outdoorsman. I think it's time for the world to finally see what it's actually like to be an adaptive outdoorsman. And when I use the word adaptive, I'm just not meaning prosthetic legs. Adaptive is a terminology for different types of people. So you do not have to be an amputee to understand what adapting in the outdoors means. For kayaking, you probably look here and you see my prosthetic legs standing here beside my kayak. If you watch my content, I never wear pants. I always wear shorts. And my prosthetic legs are visible all the time. But what you really don't get a glimpse at is what's underneath those prosthetic legs. It's a struggle. It's a grind. And it's something that you just have to work through. As an adaptive outdoorsman, there's a lot of planning that goes into a trip. There's a lot of plotting doing fishing trips. One thing is, for me, I've got to find a boat ramp or a boat launch that is set up just right. Not all boat launches are made the same. Some boat launches have a steeper incline. Some of them are more leveled. So those boat ramps that are more leveled out, you've got to back into the water a lot further to get your kayak to come off the trailer. That means when you're loading your kayak up on the trailer, your rear tires more than likely are going to be in the water, and that means you're either going to have to wade in to the water to help get your kayak on the trailer, or you've got to come up with a system to get your kayak on the trailer without getting wet. Now, today's technology in prosthetics, most all prosthetics are waterproof. But that doesn't mean that if your prosthetics get wet, that you're not going to have to take them apart and dry them out and clean them. It's just like getting your shoes wet. When your shoes get wet and you get water down inside, guess what? Your feet get all clammy and your feet get soaked. So you have to take your shoes off, dry your feet off, and prosthetic legs are no different. Here's the caveat of wearing prosthetic legs. When you get water inside, A, they become heavier, B, they become more uncomfortable, and C, it does a number on your skin. One of the things that you also got to look at is weather. When you're planning trips, you're trying to pick days where there's not a lot of high wind, there's not a lot of rain, and you're trying to make those trips to not be as miserable as they can be. And the last tournament that I did was the first time that I had been out on my kayak and actually fished in the rain. And I had pre-planned for that and had bought some prosthetic foot covers, and I had bought some frog togs. And when it started drizzling rain, I had all that stuff put on. So my prosthetics did not get wet, and mission accomplished. 3.5 hours fishing in the rain, prosthetics were dry, feet were dry, and did not have any issues with anything getting wet. For most people, a fishing trip is just throwing the gear on the yak or in the back of the truck and hitting the road. For adaptive outdoorsmen, there's a whole lot more planning that goes into getting ready for that trip. This is the side that most people do not get to see, especially from an amputee's perspective. But what you don't see underneath, that is going to give you a little glimpse in what we go through every day. Now, I am actually going to show you my stumps in this video, I'm going to show you what I go through on a daily basis, currently what I'm experiencing and going through, how that affects me every single day, and what I have to do to continue creating content and enjoying the outdoors. Physically, it was painful. The mental struggle that I went through was 10 times worse. I am wired and geared to be on the go every single day. And when it stops just like that, it is a mental struggle that you have to get through. Now, if you're a little bit squirmish or you might freak out a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and warn you right now. I'm going to pull everything off, and I'm going to show you what my prosthetic stumps look like, just to give you a glimpse of what I go through every day. So I'm going to start on this side. This is my below the knee prosthetic leg, which is this one that you see right here. This is the prosthetic liner that keeps my stump cushioned. This is essentially like a cushioned sock for your foot. Now, as you can see, this looks pretty big, but this is built up with a ton of gel because my leg over 40 years has shrunk pretty bad. So that is my prosthetic leg. So from my birth defect, I only have the big bone in the lower part of my leg. I had my foot partially amputated when I was 15. This is what I was left with. So all of my pressure goes right here on this little ball on the bottom. So you can see why the weight was affecting my legs, because this little bone was carrying the weight of almost 300 pounds. And if I was packing any additional weight, that was more weight putting strain on this. But I have a bone that sticks out right here, and that bone gets very sore. And this liner is what allows me to do things on a daily basis. And to put it on, I just roll this puppy on just like this. And then I just slide my prosthetic leg down in here. And I have a dial right here on the side. I turn this dial. It tightens these panels up. These panels is what keeps my prosthetic leg snug to my leg. But as you can see on the top, if I get into water and I have to wade and I get water down here, all that water is going down inside here, and it makes the skin very uncomfortable. We're going to swap over to the above knee side, and this is where I will kind of warn you, because on this side right now I'm having a little bit of leg fitting problems. We're working on my new prosthetic socket, which is the piece this goes down in, because my leg, I've lost a little bit more weight. My leg has shrunk. It's sore. It's tender. It hurts. But I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I wear these till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I work a full-time job. I go in between really about 8 o'clock in the morning. I get off at 5 o'clock every single day. And then as content creators, you know, you work full-time pretty much around the clock creating content. So between my full-time job that pays all the bills and the goodies, the content creator side is equally just as much hours part-time, but I ain't getting paid for that. That's why I do this. So I'm going to pan the camera back down. And now this is a sheath that helps this slide down into the prosthetic socket. I have to wear a sock up top, so I have a little bit of cushion and shear up here on the upper part of my leg. This is a seal I put this on, I spray it with alcohol, and when it slides in, it creates a vacuum seal. That's what helps keep it on. This is a liner. So it is a gel liner. So as you can see, I keep pulling layers off and it keeps getting smaller. This is another gel liner. So when I pull this off, I am left with this. This is my actual stump. So right now on the bottom, I'm going to bring the cameras in so you can see this. So give me just a second here. So right there, I've got a small tiny hole. This is very sore. This is what is sticking down inside my socket like this. Even though that's a lot of gel, that is a very non-padded area that is putting the brunt of the weight on this right here. And as you can see, I am very prone to heat rash. I get sometimes these places on my leg from it being too hot. If it's cold during hunting season, then it affects my stump the negative way because it's too cold and I can't feel things. But this is some of the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. Do me a favor, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Leave me some comments if you enjoy this content. If you want to see more content like this, it helps the algorithm push the video out there to reach a broader audience, and hopefully those people that need to see this content that are not seeing it, it will push it right to them. So help me out and do all the things that the algorithm loves to do to get this video pushed out there. So as you can see, there is absolutely a physical side to having prosthetics, but the mental side to me outweighs the physical side, because I can find ways around the physical. It is hard to deal with the mental. When you get up and you have a kayak fishing tournament and you have a blister on your stump, and that leg being on all day physically hurts, but mentally it's fatiguing you. You feel it all day long. It's in the back of your mind, and that's something you cannot get out of your mind, is because when you get a headache and your head's pounding, it's prone to make you sick, or you can't do much till you get rid of your headache. Until I get these legs off, the pressure, the pain is still there. So the mental struggle for me is the biggest when dealing with prosthetics, especially when you're having pressure, places, heat rashes, because it does take extra planning to be able to do stuff. I just had an issue a few weeks ago on this prosthetic leg. This is what we call a flexible inner. That helps that seal to seal in for me to stay on. Now I have to use a belt also. So with everything that you see that I took off, that's what I have to put on just to keep my leg on. For these panels on the side, because I have a dial system here too, but for these panels to squeeze in to help keep my prosthetic leg on, that flexible inner is required. And a few weeks back, that flexible inner deformed, and my leg would not stay on. I was walking, and even with the belt, every step I took, my leg was slipping down, and it was making it very difficult for me to walk. So much so that the prosthetic knee that I have has a microprocessor, a lithium battery. I control it with my phone. I can change the settings for different activities that I'm doing. And it has something called stumble recovery. So when the toe hits, the knee completely locks out, so your knee doesn't bend, and you're going into a falling position. And that is by design, so you don't fall and break something. Now, here's what I will tell you. Walking and my prosthetic knee hitting the toe caused the stumble recovery to kick in almost every step. I was having to stop and take another step, stop, take another step, which was putting a big strain on my hip. And my hip is shot. It's bone on bone, needs to be replaced. And I'm not doing that right now. The temperature is rated to 300 degrees on this flexible inner. So the socket is made out of carbon fiber. So on these fishing trips, when I'm sitting out in the sun fishing on the kayak, you're out for 6, 8, sometimes 10 hours. And that sun is beating down on these prosthetics, and it draws heat. That's where the heat rash comes from everything being on and heat being retained inside. This had gotten so hot over the last few months and from last fall that it started to warp and completely ruined the fit of my legs. So we had to make a new one. Now, as soon as we got it swapped, I was able to get right back down in there, and I've been right back at it. But here's the problem. That fitting problem, when that broke, I had to wear an old leg that the fit was really never that good, but that's the only thing I had to wear. And it boogered up the bottom of my stump. And now, weeks later, I am still trying to get it healed. I could probably get it healed quick if I just pulled my legs off and I sat on the couch and did nothing. I can't do it. I'm trying to help other adaptive outdoorsmen out there. Specifically with this type of content, I'm working through problems that I'm seeing with kayaks, kayak fishing, loading and unloading your kayak. Those are things that I'm specifically working on to try to help not just amputee outdoorsmen, and I say adaptive outdoorsmen because these could be people that are weak, they don't have good muscle use, they could have bad backs. When you have those conditions, you adapt to be able to do things you want to do. And that's why when I say adaptive outdoorsman, I don't mean that specifically for amputees. I mean that in a broad term for people that need it. I'm not shooting this video for sympathy. That's the last thing that I want. I've grown up all my life pushing the boundaries and going outside my comfort zone. I do this because I think this is the part of being an amputee and an adaptive outdoorsman that people actually need to see. When you're out on the water and you see someone that has a prosthetic leg, just know that it took them extra effort, extra time to get there. When we're loading our kayak up for the day, we're waiting for that perfect moment when the boat ramp is clear to be able to take the extra time to be able to get our kayak on the trailer or load it up into the truck. So sympathy is not what I want. What I want is to get the word out. What I want is to people to see this and know that adaptive outdoorsmen, there is a place for all of us in the outdoor industry. There's a lot of stable kayaks now, and to me, I think I have one of the most stable kayaks on the market in the Native Titan X 12.5. The Bonafide XTR 130 is also a very stable kayak. But beyond those, then you start stepping down. You're giving up that big platform, which has a higher weight capacity, and you are losing the massive stability and trading that off for a lighter kayak. But I would like to see some more adapting done for kayaking, specifically for certain things that people need. The one thing that I'm really interested in trying to work with a company to design or get put on the market is with the track system here is being able to have a track screw-in handle. I know we got stand assist, which are these contraptions you can put on your kayak, but I don't need a full stand assist. What I need is when I stand up to be able to put my hand on something, think of a cane, just to help my prosthetic feet balance a little bit. I do not need a full bar system to hold on to. Now, some people need that, and I'm glad that product's there. But for amputees, I think just having something on the side of the native seat here that you could screw in, or right here, right beside the seat, you've got this long track bar, is using that little T-bolt, screwing in your handle, and having a handle that you can raise up and down when you need to stand and stretch. Because I can promise you, long days out on the water, you cannot sit for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time without having to stand up and stretch your legs. So why is it important to really push to help adaptive outdoorsmen be in the outdoors? Here's what I will tell you. It is a release from the everyday life. So I'm going to end my first episode of Off The Yak and get my prosthetic legs put back on. I've got some rigging to do for this weekend's tournament, so I'll be fishing on Boone Lake for round 5 of the TCKA Angler Series tournament here locally. So let me know if you want to see some more of this content, what type of content you would like to see, or if there's some videos you would like to see an adaptive angler in the outdoors make on this native Titan X 12.5. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one. Did you get that too?
Me if you can. I got power in my hands, so catch me if you can. I was born on a 2-lane, sitting sideways in a Mustang. Put me in the dirt or on the highway if you're coming my way. I was raised in the shop.